Morning, everybody. It is 8:22 a.m. Welcome to my channel. Our markets. Now, this morning, big thing I'm noticing, okay, is the relative volume is very low today. Okay, we're only at 64% of relative volume at this time in the ES, and 65. It fell off. It just fell off. There's an expression there. I didn't get the greatest sleep, so fell off a ship. No, I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. But that is very low. Okay. Now I know some people have spring break this week, and we've had a lot of news this week, but that is a significant drop off in volume. I'm trying to see if any other countries had holiday today or something. They didn't. So that's one thing we're dealing with today. Now, yesterday you had a huge gap up. Huge gap up, right? And we came to a lot of key levels. Okay. Which I didn't think we were going to get much higher, and I didn't think we were going to get much lower yesterday. Okay. Now, let's look at the futures daily charts real quick. I just want to point something out. There's a thing called the death cross. Now, this is back adjusted futures and Ninja daily chart, so it might not match, of course, your Think or Swim. But when the 50-day, this is the NASDAQ futures, crosses the 200-day, that's called a death cross. That usually signifies a downturn in the market. Now, do I believe in that? No, I'm just pointing it out because a lot of people do believe in that, right? Now, we have a death cross barely in the ES. But you can also see in futures, NASDAQ is hit the 200-day moving average yesterday. The 50 is here. Okay, look to the left. Remember I said it's the most traded price of this year. You can see why. ES. You're not looking, you would be up here in this range to get the most traded price of this year. So the ES is not battling that, but look what it's hitting, 200-day moving average and the 50 moving average. Okay. So there's a lot of things going on around the internet about like, all right, this is where you buy. Some people talk about a follow-through day. I believe William O'Neill talked about that. And you got it yesterday. Say higher volume, over 1.25% up in the markets. That's technically where you're supposed to add positions into the market. We can look through some follow through. That's not rock solid, but that's his take. Some people are saying this is only the beginning. We're going to sell off. I don't listen to any of that crap because you got to do what the market tells you. Okay, I did add positions like I already talked about. Started some new positions. All right. So that's what's going on. Now, there was yesterday some supposed violations that Iran was saying that we did it in Lebanon because Israel was striking Lebanon. But then U.S. was saying that's not part of the deal. Who knows? All this crap goes back and forth. But the bottom line is crude's up today, 5%. We're almost at 100, back to $100 a barrel. This is not over. Okay? But like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I just got to follow what price is telling me, right? I'm not here to talk about what my thoughts are. And it doesn't even matter because I really don't know. I don't know who's telling the truth. They're probably both lying all the time. Okay? Now, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, the previous day. That is my edge. That's where I come up with the game plans. Now, once that market opens, I use my market internals. Okay, that's my bread and my butter. A little ICT, smart money concept thrown in there. Okay, anchor view ups. My expected move indicator. Now, my expected move indicator you can get for free. Couple of notables here. Okay, Amazon has hit its expected move to the upside. So has Meta. So has Google. What else? So has Broadcom. So has GE. Now, that's expected, no pun intended, because of that big move up. But what that signifies to me is that they're outside of their expected ranges. Doesn't mean they can't keep going, but it kind of makes me feel we possibly could have a lid. Now, if I was going to show you the expected moves right here, that green line in the NASDAQ, we almost hit it yesterday to the upside. Okay, SPY is up here at 681. Didn't quite get there yet, right? But we're battling other levels. Now I showed you the futures chart, right? So in this chart, we're battling the 50-day moving average SPY and the year-to-date anchored VWAP right to it. Now the QQQ bounced off the 50-day moving average, still battling the year-to-date anchor VWAP, and it's battling the 100-day moving average. Okay. That's why I showed you the futures daily charts battering the 200-day moving average and the 50. Okay. That's why I'm called confluence trading. That's why I'm called confluence trading. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert, give you the market story, the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders and the laggards, technical analysis, and I give you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures at the end of the stream. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to find my Discord. That's confluence trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay. Now, yesterday, I took a stupid long early on based on my plan because you pull back in demand, and I was like, all right, if I get a pullback to VWAP, I tried it. It wasn't smart. Wasn't smart. I was wrong very quickly. Okay. But later on, I took a nice long and got close to a 2-to-1 R. Okay, I think it was a 1.75 R or 1.56, something like that, because I scaled out. Now, of course, my trade, if I never did anything, would have been over a 2R if I never touched anything. Okay, so not a bad day, still green, right? But that first trade shouldn't have been taken. But that's, again, I'm not perfect at all. Okay, I was in my community with one of my good friends, and later in the day, because Nasdaq had relative weakness, I said that this market's not going to go higher. It's going to go back down. And I specifically told him I would bet anything right now that this market does not go higher. And what did we do? Went right back down, right? So, hopefully you could join my Discord, all right? And just see the things that I talk about, because I do not get dissuaded by price action. Okay? Now, did I used to? Yes. I used to look at it and go, really? Really? You're really going to go higher? And then it all of a sudden runs out of steam. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now, one thing that I'd like to show you guys real quickly, and I actually didn't mention it yesterday when I was live, but whenever you have a flat VWAP, see this, like, I guess you can call that magenta, I think. This line, right? Whenever your VWAP is flat and you have a balanced profile, either way, you're going to have a range bound day, right? And big gaps are always hard to trade. There's a lot to digest. Okay. Now, yesterday's thesis around what my long was, even though the internals got a little weak, was that whoever was short was probably going to get any pullback and they were going to get out. And then new longs would come in. That's exactly what happened. That's where my long came. Okay. We'll go over it a little bit in a little bit, okay? Of why I took it. Okay. All right. Why don't we get right into the futures watch list now? Look at crude. Crude's leading up 5.30%, right? Over those ceasefire violations. Okay. Almost back to $100 a barrel. VIX up 1.52. 10-year yield is flat. Bitcoin is flat. 30 bonds is down 0.14. Dollars down 0.19. Nasdaq down 0.20. Gold down 0.27. ES down 0.30. The Dow's down 0.40. Russell down 0.78. Ethereum down 1.33. And silver is the laggard, down 1.37. Moving on to the Mag 7 Plus. Meta is in the news. Some AI thing. I've already forgot what it is, but I own Meta, so I'm happy about that. And they also did some kind of collaboration with CoreWeave and NVIDIA. Up 1.89. Amazon came out with something yesterday about making money. I forget what it is. Doesn't matter. It's moving up 1.62. Who's lagging over 0.5%? Boeing down 0.51. JP Morgan down 0.56, AMD down 0.57, Nvidia down 0.60, and Google is your laggard. Okay, now this month, earnings season starts back up, I believe. Let's see here. Yes. So we're going to get back into earnings. Okay. Now, top sectors. Chevron up 0.92. Exxon up 0.76. Not a shock. Okay. Who's really lagging? There's not much lagging here. United Healthcare down 0.36. Walmart down 0.36. And Goldman Sachs down 0.63. All right, sectors. Energy leading the pack up 0.57. The laggard today is financials. I don't know why specifically yet. It's down over 0.5%, followed by semis. Okay? Followed by semis. And you can see, real quick, this number's from yesterday's open. You can see semis were like flat to slightly, I'm going to call that flat yesterday. And technology was down 1% off the open. This is off the open from yesterday. So you can see, we'll go back to my other, you can see that that was pulling down the markets, and some software like Microsoft, ServiceNow didn't do so good yesterday. Okay? Off the open. Okay? Off the open. All right, moving on. Let's get to the economic calendar. We have, it already came out. Did the market even move from it? Didn't even move from it. Jeez Louise. All right, let's see what came out then. I didn't even hear a large order hit the tape, and I don't know why. I know it's spring breaks for some people here. My daughter's spring break was last week. I don't know if people have spring break this week, but this volume has dropped off. Whew. All right, so today, let's get into it. Okay, core PCE. Let's do a 1-star here. Well, boy, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. I hate that just did that. Let's save it. Okay. So 1-star. I like to look at core PCE and the year over year. Let's see. Core PCE year over year. Okay. Consensus 3%. Came out 3%. Nothing burger. Nothing burger. GDP. Let's see here. GDP consensus 0.7. Ooh, a little farther down. All right. Let's see PCE year over year. 2.8 came out. Nothing burger. Okay, so really nothing here. Now today, hopefully I'm done. 1 p.m. there's a 30-year bond auction. Sometimes that moves the market. Okay. But that's really it today. There's nothing coming out after that. The market didn't care about it, and hence I don't care about it. Okay, I didn't really do anything. Let's just do a little refresh here. You already know I told about the Lebanon, right? All right, moving on. Whoop. All this red was all that news that didn't mean anything. Okay, let's see here. Oh, what? Interesting how that got out of order here. But May, Walsh takes over as Fed chair, May 15th. Okay. I don't know why that's up there. Now today, that's good. Let's see Trump's schedule. Everything's closed press. Now maybe he'll post on True Social or something. But right here, I don't see anything that's shocking. Of course, there's always something, right? Let's see here. Let's go to the news here. Pentagon's ouster of Anthropic opens door for small AI rivals. Tesla's developing a new, smaller, cheaper EV. Here we go. Amazon's cloud units AI revenue run rate exceeds $15 billion in the first quarter. That's the news. Amazon's pushing Amazon. Okay. Applied Digital's quarterly net loss widens on rising costs. OpenAI will reserve portion of IPO shares for retail investors. CFO tells CNBC. Okay. Now let's look at the Meta. I know Meta made it. I saw it before. They made it with CoreWeave. I don't see that here. but I know it happened. Let's see. I think I saw it over here. I know I saw it. So, that's okay. That's okay. Let me see here. Let's just do equities. Let's just do Meta. Interesting. Oh, here we go. So your fleece with the purple.
My fleece.
Yeah, it's your purple fleece. Purple jacket with the fleece. All right, so here we go. CoreWeave and Meta deal will include NVIDIA Vera Rubin platform right here. Okay, that's why Meta is moving up. All right, that's all I wanted to share there. Okay, let's get into some breadth charts. And we'll just check in on those credit spreads. Okay, let's go to 1 year so we can get a little zoomed in version. All right, that means that, look at that. As soon as this market ceasefire, look at those credit spreads. Back down. Nothing to see here now. Nothing to see now. Okay, bullish percent indexes. Let's do it. Remember, I talked about this the other day. Okay, let's see where they're at. Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, so 56% of the S&P 500 stocks are on buy signals. So pretty much a little more than half the market. Now look, we were all the way down here, folks. I said it's getting a little oversold. There we go. Okay, let's look at that NDX. NDX. 55% are on buy signals in the NDX. All right, let's drill down. Let's drill down a little more to the technology sector in particular. Woof. See what I'm talking about, folks? I talked about this the other day. 66%. Even though software took a little nosedive, but the overall tech sector, look at this, all right? 20% on buy signals 4 or 5 days ago, all the way up to 66% on buy signals. Okay? You're almost getting overbought. It's crazy. Now, let's go to financials. There it is. Financials with the private credit issues were down at the 26% on buy signals, which is very oversold. Look at that, 65% on buy signals now. Okay, once you get into the 70, 80s%, it's overbought. Okay, now let's end off with, I think this is 50, SP 50. I always forget this friggin' thing. No, let's see, 50. Maybe I just got to do 50. Yep, here we go. All right, so breadth, we're right almost at down the middle. 49% of the S&P 500 of stocks are above their 50-day moving average. It's kind of right in the middle. Okay, right in the middle. So now we know money's flowing into tech. Money's getting put into financials. Two of our largest sectors. Okay, so that's why it's always good to check where money's going, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at my market internals. Got to do the market internal recap. Okay. Yesterday, you saw tech was laggard. So was consumer discretionary. Healthcare was up. Staples, that was one thing. Staples was really getting money yesterday. On a big day like that, to put money into Staples told me people are still worried. Look at energy off the open, 2.45. People took that as a buy opportunity. Okay, so these are pretty beefy numbers because of the large gap up. But when Nasdaq's over 2,300 to the ADD, you're not really going to go down much. Okay. And look what happened yesterday. There was a big divergence between the equal weight and the market cap. Now, why is that? Well, the heaviest market cap weighted sectors were down. And look, the lighter ones were up. Hence the divergence, right? Hence the divergence. So this is even though we were here, right? All right. When we did this, whoop, right? I got long like around here. All right, we'll go over my trade in a second. Okay, so that's where I got long. Took profits here. Okay. Now, really quickly, we're going to go over to the dailies. Let's go to the daily charts. And the first thing I'm going to just show you if that divergence, we'll see it. Okay. Okay. Is daily charts. Okay. So had a hammer, candle, and spy. Now remember what I said, battling year-to-date anchor view up. Okay, 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average. You're in a web here. I expect that big gap up, we weren't going to get much movement higher. That's exactly what happened. Now, look at the SPY. Let's look at RSP, which is the equal weight, which would be that white line yesterday, and see the difference. Look at that. You notice we just opened here, closed here. You didn't have that big push down. Okay? Now, back to SPY. Okay? Remember, look at all this trading volume here. Whoop. Right? So, where are we now? 674.24. 674.24. We are right in the middle of yesterday. Really nothing to see here. So let's go to futures. Okay. Big move up, hit the 50-day moving average. Right? Now, in Ninja, it really back adjusts the contract, so I get a 200-day moving average. The what you call it, the Thinkorswim does not do that. So there's not enough data. Look at the data; it gets all wacky. Okay, so but battling the 50, right? And we're still holding up here. Okay, Qs. Now, what did I say? Qs came down basically to 50 to the anchor view for the year, got bought up, and then hit resistance at 100-day moving average. Now look at that trading volume to the left. Ooh, I pointed this out yesterday. That was going to slow down the NASDAQ, and it did. Guess where we're at right now? We are at the most traded price of the year right now. Okay? I said, market needs to hold that. It's holding it. Who knows what happens from here? I don't know. Where's the Qs now? 605. 605, you're pretty much towards the middle to lower third of yesterday's session. Now let's look at the Nasdaq futures. Okay, got like a doji candle going on right now. You're trying to bounce off the 50, and look at all that volume, right? Look at all that range. It's going to be hard to get through. Okay, if we get lifted off, we should go up the year. But why does that happen? I don't know. Right? I don't know. I really don't. All right, moving on. All right, let's go over that trade really quickly. Let me just put up my chart, okay? Okay. I didn't even get rid of the levels yet, okay? So, my long was at 67.93 right here, folks. So what happened here, right? Let's just go over it really quickly. and why I took it. All right. And I took this live in my room. So let's go over it. Okay. So right here, we've opened, right? Pushed up, kind of consolidated, pushed down, consolidated again, and then you had a little bit of a sell off with a nice wick. And where did we go? Right into the bullish FEG from my long pre-market scenario that I posted early in the morning. And I waited, okay? I waited. So let's go to a different chart here. Let me go to the 1 minute and we can really get into it. But this is why it pulled back right there, and that's why I got long. But let's look at it and exactly what I saw. Okay, so let's boom. Let's move over here. You can see exactly what I saw. Okay. Ooh. So let's get exactly to what I saw. Okay. So on a 1 money chart, we pushed into that 1 hour bullish for value gap where I said support in here is bullish. Then what did I see? An immediate engulfing bullish candle, right? And we pushed all the way up to here. Okay. And then I said I want to pull back, and there was a 1 hour, a 1 minute fair value gap right in here. You see that? So once I wanted to, I almost put a limit there, but then I was watching price and watching price, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get long. Got long here, right? Stop was like here, and then it did a whole bunch of boop, 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 boop. Now, because of this consolidation, right? I knew it wasn't gonna just fly, and then it just took a little boop. Once it got past VWAP, my target was VPOC, and then these equal highs. I scaled out a little bit, right? And then I put my stop at it like a 2 to 1 risk to reward around right here, and I got wicked, right? I believe right here it wicked me, and then look, it would have hit this equal high. Okay, and the reason for that was the support in the bullish FEG, the 1 hour, and that the market gapped up so much that I said once we get some type of sell-off, probably anybody who was short going to look to get out, right? And then money was going to buy this. And that's exactly what happened. And then what did we do? We wound up ranging, right? So go back to the 5 minute chart. So we wound up just coming up here to the open, and then whoop, and then we came back down, and then we went back up, and that was all she wrote yesterday. Balanced profile. Okay? Balanced profile. All right, that's my trade. Let's go to 1 hour charts. These are just not, these are just ugly. All right. Okay. You can see this volume right here is horrendous. Now we're getting a little better volume here. It's pretty bad though. Okay. Pretty bad. So let's, okay. Let's look at this together. Okay. So now, again, obviously I can recognize a pattern. This is like a descending triangle almost here, right there. Generally, that's like bearish because you're compressing price, compressing, 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 and with one support, and you could break lower. Now, like I said, is that a pattern? Yes, I don't trade on patterns because it's more context for me. Because you could find a pattern anywhere, and you can make it believe that it's bullish or bearish. Like I said, I'm just, anybody can see that. Okay, anybody can see that. Now, what are we doing? Lower high, lower high, lower high, right? So that's that 1 hour bullish for value gap that I said held, and why I got long yesterday. Because I said any support in this FVG is bullish. Okay? So what we did do though is we brought the most traded price of the week right here. Call it 68.15s. That's bullish. Okay? That, my friends, is bullish. Why? Because we established volume up here that moved the most traded price of the week up. Now we are a little below it, but this is bullish. Okay? The market said with volume, they're accepting these prices. Understand that. That's why I'm saying a descending triangle doesn't mean, oh, I'm bearish, there's a descending triangle. No. Okay? It's not how it works. I know some people can maybe say this is a bull flag or whatever. So that's what's important. The market deemed this market price as fair for the most traded price of the week. That's also the most traded price of yesterday. Just a lot of volume. Okay, let's just look at it. Let's just confirm it. Not that I need this, but visually, let's confirm it. Hold on. Right here. See on this candle. Let's see where that volume goes. Boom. Right there. See it? Right there. There's that line. So that's volume, right? Doesn't lie. People's behavior does not lie. 68.15 is your most traded price of the week. Congratulations, market. You're saying the price is fair. Okay? That's your confirmation. Okay? Now, what could happen today is we just oscillate in between this area. Okay, we know there's been ceasefire violations. We know that we have a kind of ceasefire. We know the market kind of probably priced in this now. So what happens from here? Who the hell knows? All I know is the playground's got to be between the 68.40s and the 67.80s. Okay, what happens in here? I don't know. Okay, just based on the structure here. You got supply, right? Supply. Don't have too much demand zones here at all. Now, what that means, right, is the market's going to have not easiest time to go up. Doesn't mean I'm calling for a sell-off. Okay? Doesn't mean that. Okay? I just know that, all right, this is not going to be the easiest long. Okay? Now, does this poor structure get taken out? I don't know. Unless we say ceasefire is done, we're bombing back again, maybe. Okay, and crude starts skyrocketing again. That's all I can say. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Okay, NASDAQ yesterday was relatively weaker. In the chart, you can see it. Notice before how the ES was kind of like this, like this, like this, like this, right? You can see the NASDAQ dropped and really has just been holding low in this little range. It's not getting these peaks, swing highs like the ES is because it's relatively weaker. But what did I say? Here's the level, 250. Let's call it 50 just to be easy. It's the most traded price of the last 2 months. It's the most traded price of the year. And guess what, folks? We're there. Not a shocker. Price is right here. Okay? Not a shocker. It's a big, warm, snuggly bed when it's cold out. And the market likes to get under those covers when it doesn't know what to do. Big move up. And now we're right here where we're supposed to be. Okay? Where we're supposed to be. Now, you do have supply here. I was in my community with a good friend, and I was telling him, oh, there's a bearish flag gap here when the market was pushing up. And I know when I was with him, he was like, I don't know, man. I think this market can just go up. And I'm like, no, not really. I said there's an hourly demand here, a supply, I'm sorry, right here. And I said there's a bearish FEG there as well. And I said the golden zone in your NASDAQ, I had it up on the chart with him, and I said that's probably the area where the market's probably going to get some selling. And then look what happened. Boop, boop, boop. And boom. And I said the next target I would say would probably be the 250s. 250s. Yes, I got hit and got more. Okay. So now that I'm saying that, right? This is not, again, an easy market for the market to just rip up. Okay. You don't rip through supply only with news usually. So right now it's got to have a hard time going up. So, you know, if you do go up, and that's an equal high to be pay attention to right there in the Nasdaq. What is that level? That is around about 25155s. Okay, pay attention to that equal high. You also have an equal high that just got swept. Pay attention to that right there. The two, what is that? 25055s. Okay, that just got a little sweepy sweep, and it's going to try to move back lower in this consolidation. Right now, like I said, it's all, does this market just break this and take out all this poor structure? Maybe eventually. Okay, I don't know. Right now, what I'm seeing is low volume, and we're just hanging out at the most traded price of the year. Okay, don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? But that's what's going on. Okay, moving on. Ready? Let's go to that market profile, volume profile. Alrighty, here's your market profile, volume profile. Love it because we can see each session on its own. Each session on its own. Okay. Now look at this little baby session we're having here inside yesterday's range. So the overnight session is inside yesterday's session. See, I can't really see that as much as this. That's why I love looking at it like this. Okay. Now I see, oh, we're inside yesterday right now. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the ES. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to break out the session. Look at those 30-minute bars overnight. Look at that real compressed area. We know the most traded price of the week now is 68.15. That's been causing resistance a little bit, right? We know we have supply here and supply here. So supply zones. 68.27 starts one supply zone. 68.05 starts the other, which we're currently in supply. Okay, currently in supply. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off with a long. So, don't want to be involved here. So, remember, heavy supply overhead. What I'll be looking for today is a drive through. Oh, my lord, that's big. What I'm going to look for, you have a poor low here. Okay, poor low right here. That's going to get broken. Okay, so I'm going to look for that overnight low, 67.92s, to get broke. And I'm going to wait for the market to look for to hit that bullish FEG. Okay, and yesterday's low, 67.80s. Now there's an unfilled gap down here now. Okay, any support in this bullish FEG and gap like this, and a higher low back inside yesterday's range is a long. First target will be 68.15, the most traded price of the week. Then you go to overnight high, 68.23. Then you go to yesterday's high, 68.36, and maybe even touch 68.48. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Honestly, that's the one I'm looking for. Now, if, if, and I don't think it's going to be the easiest trade, you want to be conservative. You're going to wait to capture the 68.15s most traded price. Like if we drove up, right, I would not get long yet because you're going to run into supply. And if you get a pullback to 68.15 and it holds, you could try your long here, targeting yesterday's high 68.36 and then try to 68.48s. Okay, that's what I'm really looking for today. Remember, the 50% retracement of that overnight session is still 67.50. I would say that's probably the last line for a long. Shorts. Okay. So, what would I look for as a short? Well, we're in supply now, but that's not good enough for me. I would like to get a push up where into the most traded price of the week, 68.15s. And what would I like to see? Either a failure here, pull back under it, retest the 68.15s, you short that, target overnight low, 69.92s, then you go for yesterday's low, 67.80. Now, if this market is weak, oh boy. If this market starts to really go ceasefires, violations, oh my God, well then, my friends, this is when the elephant on a toothpick arrives and all this structure can get taken away. Now, I don't know, I'm not calling for it, but that is there. Okay. Now, like I said, conservatively, you just go for 67.80 yesterday's lows. You want to hold the runner and see if this market really gets weak. That's what you have. Now, the other short that I'd be interested is you pull up, you move up past 68.15. You take it, you hold it, you take out yesterday's highs in this supply, but then you fail, right? Put a lower high in, target 68.15s, and then you go for the overnight low, 67.92s, and then 67.80s. And maybe you get the extra fall as well. I don't know. Okay? That's the short scenarios in the ES. Moving on. NASDAQ. Good old NASDAQ. Okay? Okay. Let's break this out. Look at that compressed session. My lord. Horrible. Horrible. Okay. This little baby session. That is hilarious. Okay. So, we're right at the most traded price of the year. That is insane. Okay. Let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ. Okay. Now, we're going to start off with a long. Now, we're at the most traded price of the year. It's not really where I want to be. Okay? That's going to be a chop city. So, in a long, what I would like to happen, okay, maybe we could push up into supply, you sell off, you take this poor low out in the overnights, and you test yesterday's lows. Right? That is a bullish FEG on a 1 hour right here. That didn't fully get mitigated yet. But then you have another one down here. So if you sweep yesterday's lows, okay, and the market does it quick, and the market isn't that weak, okay, I'm going to look for that whoop back into range, yesterday's range with a lower high, and then I'm going to target most likely those 25050s. Okay. And the overnight highs then at 25076s. Now there's a very heavy supply up here. I don't know if the Nasdaq can take all that out. What we need to do, right, is probably go up in there and pull back to this. What is it now? 25089s about, and see if it can move higher. Okay. So that first scenario is a pullback sweeping yesterday's lows into a bullish FEG. You put a higher low in, you target, let's just call it the 25089s, the most traded price of the week. Okay. And maybe you get higher. I'm not sure about that. Okay. I'm really not. There's a lot of overhead supply there. Okay. Now, the midpoint of this big range from the other day is still 24809. I would say that's probably their last attempt at a long here, if it held here. Okay. Okay. Shorts. Now the Nasdaq is relatively weaker than the ES, and you have a lot of overhead supply here, and you're right at this most traded price of the year. So what do I want to see? Okay, I want to see those 250, call them 89s, most traded price of the week, challenged right there in supply. Right? Failure. Retest the 25089s. Now you target overnight lows, 24953s, then yesterday's lows, 2492675s. Let's just call it 24926s. Okay, yesterday's lows. Now you're going into that gap. This is where the rubber meets the road, because if the market is relatively weak, or it's weak with the big sectors red, this could really fall really bad. Really, really bad. And that's where the elephant in the toothpick comes into play, because this is the elephant. This is the toothpick. You do not have a lot of volume holding the market up. Okay? Now, one other one I'd be interested in. It depends on how the internals are looking. If the market was able to come up to around the 25150s, okay, let's get it exact. There's overlapping supply zones here, so at 25134s. Okay, 25134s. Any kind of resistance in here, and you snap back, right? Lower high. Okay, you target overnight lows, 24953s, then go for the 24926s. Okay, and then hold on with a runner if you want lower. That could also happen. All right, that is my scenarios, folks. So, what am I looking like? What am I looking for today in the markets? Now, both overnight sessions are inside yesterday's session because we have lower volume. Okay, so what would I expect today? I expect an inside out trade off the bat. Now, I don't like trading those because they're very unpredictable. So I'm going to let the market tell me, are you going to go up, inside, in an up? Or are you going to go inside now and down for me to go short or for me to go long? That's what I have to wait. Okay? I want to see if we can take out the overnight lows and yesterday's lows to possibly go long. I'm going to see if you get resistance at supply for me to go short. And you have to wait for it. Now, today's volume is horrendous. I hope it picks up because it could be a snooze fest. I am not sure, but there always will be an opportunity. Okay? Now, smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. That means a lot to me. All right? Now, hopefully you join me every morning. I give you the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. Okay? Technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay? If you want more in-depth coverage, okay, that is not the Discord. That is not. You're going to join my Discord. Let's put that back up. You're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Okay, go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Hopefully, you join me live and ask questions. Okay, hopefully, you join me live and ask me questions. Please come join. All right, I've been hitting those scenarios a lot. I have a scorecard. You can check it out on my Discord. It's called the Performance Recap, and you can see my trades and you can see how I'm doing with my pre-market scenarios. Okay, so please come check it out. Now, everybody, we have our plans, and I like them. It's just I'm not crazy about the volume. Okay, remember we're at a 20. What do we have VIX now? At a 21 VIX. All right, positive gamma, which makes the market slow down. It's less volatile. Okay, everybody, have a great day. No trade's a trade, and if I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see you